Okay, so in this video we're going to take a look at plotting complex numbers. All right. So again, a review: a complex number is a number that contains two parts. All right, so an example of a complex number would be something like, let's say this, where I is our imaginary number, square root of -1. Okay. All right, and here complex, where it has two parts, this is what we call the real part. And this is our imaginary part. And in this section, we'll go through different operations done in the complex number system. Right? Here we'll focus on how to plot these. Right. So, and usually I think we refer to something like, if we just had, let's say, and we had 6i, we said, oh, that number is imaginary, which is true. It's the imaginary portion, but we can also think of it as a complex number where the real part is 0. Okay, so we're going to look at plotting complex numbers. And we'll take a look at how that's different than the way we would, how to do it, and then just the differences in how we plot Cartesian coordinates. Right? Now, the main idea here when plotting our complex numbers is the axes, the horizontal and the vertical, are going to represent the real and the imaginary part, right? So our horizontal axis will represent the real portion of our complex number, and the vertical one would represent the imaginary. Okay, so if we were asked to plot, let's plot a couple of these here. So plot for, let's say, -3i. Okay, so the way we would plot something like this is we would say, all right, well, on the real part, it's 4 units. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. And the imaginary part, here we'd add -3. 1, 2, 3. So that would be somewhere right there. Okay. All right, so let's call this, just so we can label these here, that would be our point A. All right, and let's say for -4 plus 2i. All right, so let's say that I wanted to plot something like this. All right, and then it's the same idea here, right? Where now our real part, we put 1, 2, 3, 4, -4, and then the imaginary part would be +2. So here, and that leaves us here in the second quadrant. That would be point B. Okay, and now let's say that I wanted to plot, I'll call it C. Here, how about, let's say, 3. Okay. Now, notice here that if I want to plot it in the complex plane, all right, then here there is no imaginary part, but there is a real part, so that, which is 3, and that would be, right, and that would be C. Okay, so because this is our imaginary plane. All right, and the same goes if, let's say, wanting to plot in our imaginary complex plane, excuse me. So now we're looking at -5i. All right, now we can see there's no real part, so that just means we just set it equal to 0. So plotting this, we go -5 in the imaginary axis, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that one would be here. That would be D. Okay. All right, and this is how we would plot our imaginary, our complex numbers, right? We think of it as two parts, the real part and the imaginary part for our complex numbers.